In this video, we'll be setting up a workspace for our bootloader so that we can get started. Now, if you're a Windows user, you're going to have to download WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, so we'll get started doing that right now. If you're on Linux already, you can skip this step. So for Windows users, we need to go to the Microsoft Store. Here we go, we can go to the search bar and type in WSL. I like to use Ubuntu 20.04. I already have it installed, but if you do not, you must install it. Once that's installed, you need to go to the search bar once again and type turn Windows features on or off. Now we need to scroll down to the bottom of this dialog and make sure Windows Subsystem for Linux is ticked. If it's not, then tick it and restart your computer. Now we can load up our terminal and start entering our commands. If you just installed WSL, you will be running the Ubuntu installation. Alright, so we need to make sure Linux is up to date. So first thing we need to do is do sudo apt update. Alright, now we need to download some tools for compilation. So we need to do sudo apt-get install build-essential, and we need to also install mtools. Alright, I was up to date, so that didn't take long for me. This might take a couple minutes if you haven't done that already. Alright, now if you're on Linux, you need to do sudo apt install QEMU. But if you're not on Linux, if you're on Windows, then you can just go into your browser and onto the QEMU website, which the link it will be in the description, and just download and install. Alright, now that QEMU is installed, we need to create a workspace directory for our bootloader and operating system. So I'm just going to use the root directory. I'm going to make a new directory and I'm going to call it Poncho OS. There we go. So make that directory and then cd into it. Right, now we're in our workspace directory. We're going to need to download some Git repos to get started. I've made these Git repos as a template for both EFI applications and for our kernel. There's also one included so that QEMU can emulate our bootloader in a UEFI environment. Alright, so we need to git clone https://github.com/absurd-poncho/gnu-efi. Right, now that's done, we can do git clone, or just press the up arrow to get the old one back. OVMF, all capitals, bin. Alright, we have one more to go, and we just need to download absurdponcho/kernel. Alright, we are fully done with downloading for this part of the tutorial. Now we need to start compiling. So we need to cd into gnu-efi and type make. Right, now that that's done, we need to do make bootloader, and this will compile the template bootloader that I've provided to get things running. It doesn't actually load anything yet, it just prints a HelloWorld. It's basically a HelloWorld EFI application, but we will flesh it out into a bootloader as time goes on. Right, now cd /kernel to cd into our kernel directory, and now we need to do make setup, which will just create the directories we need. Now we can do make build img to build our image. Right, now if you're on Linux, you just type make run, but if you are on Windows, you need to open your file explorer, go up into the search bar and do 2 backslashes WSL $ and another backslash, press enter, and now we can click on our WSL installation Ubuntu, go into home, your username, and then we have our workspace. I've left one here from before, but our workspace Poncho OS, or whatever you named it. Go into kernel and double click run.bat. Now it will load up our QEMU installation, and if everything is working well, we can press enter and it will find our bootloader and print hello world. If you're not interested in all the technical details of how this is working right now, you can just continue on to the next video, but if you are interested, stay tuned and I will explain. So we have 3 directories that we're working with. I'll start off with ovmfbin. Ovmfbin just contains the binaries that QEMU needs to start in a UEFI environment. Next, we have the kernel directory. Inside the kernel directory, we have several folders that we're going to use in the compilation process, as well as a makefile, a batch script for Windows, and a startup.nsh for the UEFI shell to start our bootloader. This makefile currently only contains some targets to build our image and for Linux to start QEMU using the image, but eventually we'll use this makefile to compile our kernel as well. And lastly, we have UEFI, and this is basically an open source API that can be used for making EFI applications. I've provided a template folder called bootloader, and this contains the source of our bootloader as well as a makefile for us to compile it. And this is used whenever you do make bootloader from within the GNU EFI directory. The compiled output is put into x86_64/bootloader. We have the main.efi, so this is the EFI application that is actually our bootloader. We could copy this onto a USB drive, plug it into our computer, and in our UEFI startup screen, we can select the USB and start our bootloader like that. Eventually we can format any drives to contain the image of our operating system so we won't have to go through the UEFI shell, but this is just a good starting point for us to test our operating system on real hardware. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the Discord, as well as any suggestions. I'd love to hear anything. As always, thank you for watching and I will see you next time.